to settle in and settle down after the previous program. Good evening, one and all, and welcome to the In the Spotlight radio show for tonight. Remember, we're celebrating 10 years of the In the Spotlight radio show on May 13th, 2023, having begun on May 13th, 2013, which was a Monday. This year it falls on a Saturday, and we will be having something special on the Saturday, but we will also be having a program on Monday the 15th. It is always a pleasure to be here for the In the Spotlight radio show. And those of you who are joining us via the airwaves of Q95 FM radio, thank you for choosing us tonight. And those of you who are on the In the Spotlight radio show Facebook page, thank you for joining us and choosing us as well. Let us remind you to follow our In the Spotlight radio show page. And you should do that if you've not done that as yet, because during our anniversary month, we will be doing some giveaways and having some activities on the page. And you don't want to miss out on that. Listen, I've already gotten so many prizes. I don't have it written down now, but I know off my head, I can say that I have from the Great Old House and the Callaloo Restaurant. Steve and your team, thank you so much, giving us a lunch for two and the dinner for two that we're going to be giving away. Pamplemousse goodies and services. Thank you so much, Ronald. Ronald will be providing a box of goodies. And let me tell you a little secret from tonight. Ronald has agreed to provide me and my guest with a package of goodies. So you see, there's two there, right? There's two boxes there. He sent me a picture of what's in there. This is one for my guest and one for me. And in addition to that, remember, the Great Old House always provides us with dinner for our guests as well. So they're feeding us tonight and we're loving it. We don't mind. We're both two little plump ladies, so we don't mind. We don't mind our food. So thank you guys so much for that. The folks of Fine Foods are also working with us with some prizes. We have Jolly's Pharmacy. We have quite a few. I'm sorry, I really didn't come with the intention of highlighting them as yet per se, but I really just want to say thank you. And if you're listening and you would like to contribute to our month of celebrations, whether we want to make a cash contribution because we have to pay our digital guys, our persons who are doing things for us, we will welcome that. If you can provide a gift, we'll also welcome that. Very importantly as well, we're looking forward to your videos, whether you're just a fan of the show, whether you are a former guest, whether you just want to send us something, we will welcome it. We'll be running videos of, congratulatory messages, as well as experiences and all of that good stuff. So do look out for that. During the month, we begin our celebrations from the 1st of May, and I'm pretty happy and pretty excited about that. We will be able to quench our thirst tonight. Compliments Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited. And Josephine Gabriel has been a partner of ours through their Barefoot Wine. So Josephine Gabriel and Company, good evening, Jenny, and the rest of the team will be providing us with some wine as well for our month of celebrations. GK, I have to big you up in a good way, working really, really closely with me, for my anniversary flyers and graphics and whatever I need. So thank you, GK. I appreciate you 150%. Q95, thank you so much for the love that you provide to me for 10 years. Hosting the In the Spotlight radio show, never interfering, never getting involved, never, involving yourselves in the program and who I bring on the program. And that is what I wanted when I actually started the In the Spotlight radio show. So thank you again, everyone. And Gloria, if you can pass me one of those boxes, let me see, what's going on there. It's quite heavy. Whoa, it is quite heavy. Wow. And we thank you so much, Ronald, and Pamplemousse Goodies and services. We will be giving you a little bit more big up on that, and as well as our folks at the Great Old House. Thank you to you, Steve, and the team over there. We're getting ready to start tonight's In the Spotlight radio show, and I am definitely looking forward to that. I actually got a bit I don't want to use the word emotional, but I was reading up on some of the information pertaining to my guest tonight, and I'm saying, oh my God, we have amazing people in Dominica, people who are doing such great work, people that we definitely need to recognize. And if you didn't know, I hope by the end of tonight's program, you will get to know a lot more about the very humble magistrate, Gloria Septra Augustus, who is our guest tonight on the In the Spotlight radio show. And we go across to the mic and say, good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
A little bit tired. I had a long day.
You had a long day?
Yeah, I only saw outside maybe minutes to 5 when I left the office.
Wow.
And then I went to a class and then I got ready to come here.
And that would be a long day in court?
Yes.
A long day in court. A typical day?
Sometimes, but today, some things happened that it was longer than I expected.
All right. And we will talk about that part of her life during the course of the program, because I tell you, she really does have done quite a bit for Dominica, especially the young people of Dominica. And she will explain to us the passion that she has for young people during the course of the program. But we're going to allow, do I go Gloria tonight? Do I go, yeah. How are you referred to in court again?
Your Honor.
Your Honor. So you might hear a little Your Honor as well during different periods of the program. But it's definitely a pleasure to have you, Gloria, on the In the Spotlight radio show. We had spoken about it for some time now. And then I thought, just around when we're celebrating our anniversary, it would be a good time to have this amazing lady. And I look forward to hearing and listening to you tonight, because I also want to listen. I want to listen and learn. I want to understand. I want to be inspired by you tonight. And I know that I'm going to be. I would like to encourage the parents who have young children, teenagers, who are tuned in or who are somewhere in the house but not listening, to join you in listening to the program tonight. I think it will definitely be worth their while to come and listen. So, Gloria, an opportunity to say good evening to everyone tuned into the program. And if there's anyone in particular that you want to big up who is tuned in or who are tuned into the program tonight.
Oh, good evening to Dominica and everybody else listening, what is it, on the World Wide Web?
That's it.
And some of the people that I told that I would be on, good evening to you. Good evening, tout le monde, everybody. Too numerous to mention.
Bonsoir. Bonsoir, tout le monde, too numerous to mention. Gloria, it's almost like, where do I start with you tonight? But I know what I'll do. I'll start from the beginning. Okay. All right? And the beginning would be a little bit about who is Gloria Septra Augustus, and where you come from. I want to ask something though. So we know you as Gloria Augustus, but you seem a bit passionate about the middle name Septra. Let us start there.
Oh no, some people know me as Septra.
Some people know you as
yes,
Septra.
Some people know me as Septra because this is a name my mother said was given to me by a nun. And I started using that name quite late. And I found a lot of people love it. I made friends because of the name. People would talk to me because of the name. In the bank, they say, what unusual name? And then I kind of liked it. And then once or twice, I think I went somewhere. When I go to certain countries, I'd say, I'll introduce myself as Septra. I also write my creative name. I use Septra. I don't use Gloria when I write. I use Septra. And I remember once when I was working at as a state attorney, one year I came, I said, let me tell you something. All of you will have those kind of long names there. I'm not sure if I'll have a long name like that. So give me all my names. But this year I want to be known as Septra. So that's why even Miss Sele, she would call me Septra, because I made my announcement and then, some people knew the Septra.
And it's a lovely name.
They say it sounds like a medication or kind of thing like
No, not at
Septrin.
all. It actually sounds like a
Yeah,
movie star's
yeah,
name.
but a lot of people like it. Yeah,
Is there a meaning to it?
I have it on a paper. I don't remember. I don't remember. I researched it. I have it on a paper. I don't remember. But then I think it's also linked to. I'm born in September,
Okay.
so I think somehow I don't know where the nun got that, but
There's some
yeah,
kind of
yes,
connection.
yes. I guess with the September. So
Did
it's
you get to
September.
know who the nun was?
I never asked my mother the name of the nun. All I was told a nun. I just accepted it as a nun.
Was your
Yeah.
mother Catholic?
No, my mother grew up. My mother was one of the people that you send down your child to somebody in Roseau to live with. And she was raised by some people called the Dumasis. And they had their own church, something. You see, across from the police station, that lot that's there, that's where they had their church. So she grew up in this, I'm not sure what kind of religion it was, but it wasn't Catholic. But then somehow we had all her children are Catholic. At some point, I guess we went to Catholic thing. So that's where it
I
came
was
from.
wondering
Mhm.
what was the connection with the nun, yeah,
Yes.
at that time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Mhm.
I guess some way,
Mhm.
somehow they were connected
Yeah.
and,
Mhm.
and gave you that name.
Mhm.
Let us talk about, well, you started talking about your mom a bit. We'll talk about where you come from in just a while. I always like knowing about the families, as much as the guest is willing to speak,
Mhm.
I don't force anyone to speak
Mhm.
beyond what they're willing to share. But
Mhm.
can you share a bit about your mom and your dad?
Okay. Mom first. My mother is one of, I always mix that up if it's 14 or 16, one of them.
That's a lot.
Children,
Either way,
right?
it's a lot.
Yeah. The father has a paper and all the names and when they were born and so on. And my mother was one before the last year, one before the last. In fact, all of them, the last person to die was my aunt. My aunt died recently, my auntie Anna, favorite aunt, favorite everything. So my mother was one of those children, and my mother was a beauty. My mother had gray, green, blue, whatever kind of color eyes. My mother was fair. My mother was tall, and my mother was sent to town. I was told to live with these people, and then she was crying to go back. And when they sent her back, and she realized the nice time she had in town vis-a-vis at home, she cried to go back again, and they sent her back, and that was it. So well, that's what I was told. So she lived in town. You see this house where they have one pot?
Yes.
That's where my mother grew up.
Okay.
Yes, that's
Okay.
where my mother grew up. Downstairs they had a store. That's what I'm told. They had a store. That's where my mother grew up. The people who raised her are related to the what's that name? The lady who was in charge of DBS, and they write a calypso about her. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember the surname.
It'll come to us, so
Right,
somebody will tell us.
Yeah, I think that some of the family live in Canada now. That person was related. Somehow there was some kind of relation to that person. Yeah. So my mother lived there. I have one sister, and my sister. People think my sister is my mother because my sister is much older than I am, and my sister has a child which is close in age to me.
Okay.
My sister is Edwina Joseph. So one sister. A lot of my mother's sisters, some went to the extreme, like they have 10, 14, 9, and so on. And some have only one, some want to have none. So, as I sometimes say, there's a big family, but a lot of them, in this time, it was going to England. So a lot of them went to England. So a lot of the family were in England and a few in Dominica. So,
What
yes.
about dad? What about dad?
Oh, my father.
Mm-hmm. Once you
My
chuckle,
Oh yes, my father.
there's a story.
Yes, my father. I got to know him at some age. I can't remember. And what I remember of my father gave me a ride on a bicycle. My father had dentures and showed it to me at that point. A little child fascinated by dentures. That's what I remember about my father. Besides that, I saw him on a few occasions. And when I got older, I knew who he was. We spoke and so on. And then I referred to him as Mister. And he was not pleased about that. But I mean, if I have grown up with you, I know you are my customer because dad is not something that unless if I am in a play and that's what's on the script. I write it.
Mm-hmm.
It has to come from within. So I did not grow up with him in terms of a dad, interacting, doing something, giving you something, that type of thing. So
And
to be
you
respectful, I called him Mr. and
Mr.
he wasn't pleased about
was
that.
not happy about
No,
that.
he told one of my sisters about that, but then she spoke to him,
But did
or my
he
sister.
understand though that you got to know him later on in
No, he
life?
wouldn't understand that.
He wouldn't understand.
As far as
that.
the gentleman is concerned, I am your father. So then
And
we
you're supposed
expect
to
the
call
daddy
me
badge.
daddy.
But then, by that time I was big enough to understand,
Mm-hmm.
and feel, so I
And
know
nobody
him.
was going to force you to do that.
No, it has come willingly. I was an adult.
You were an adult.
Yeah, but I saw him several times because one of the things too, he worked in the Elrose lime business or something, and then he also worked overseas for a while. He was in Bermuda for some years and Florida and some other place or something like that. So all these are things that I heard. And then for a long time of his life, he lived in Guadeloupe. In fact, that's where he died.
Okay.
So I met him in Guadeloupe. We spoke in Guadeloupe. I met him in Guadeloupe. I knew him. He was bow-legged, talk a lot. He very boaster, that type of thing. But I don't know too much about him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but I got to know his family. So his aunt, I had more dealings with his sister, my aunt who is now who has passed now, and the other family members. And but I have several sisters by father, and my sister Sandra Augusta Sorrento is the one, there's always one that keeps the family together and knows everything about everybody and has all the records and so on. So this is the sister, Big Mama, that is, we're close, and through her you can know everything else about everybody else. She's the thread that keeps everybody together.
May I ask, Gloria, that relationship or lack thereof with your dad, how do you think that impacted you as a young woman and even into adulthood?
I think because my home had a lot of people. Our house almost was like a boarding house. People were in and out. There were lots of people in my life, so probably I never really, and there were not many males. So to me, But then when I got older, what I used to want was like sometimes I'd see certain family and see people together. Like I wanted that type of big family. I like people. I like activity and action. So I used to feel I wish I had that. But from early on, I used to think a lot, and I understood things quite early. So for me, it did not. I wouldn't say it affected me. I wouldn't say it affected me.
Because as we develop our conversation, as we go along, we will learn, and especially those who don't know, that you have a very strong passion for children and young people. So I was just trying to establish if there was a link between that and that lack thereof of.
I don't know. Maybe it could be because I remember when I started writing stories, somebody who read my stories said every story is about some child or some childhood experience or something to do with a child. And they said, I think you need to be psychoanalyzed. So maybe somewhere, in the thing. But because I sometimes ask myself questions and I answer them, and I learned quite a lot. I read quite a lot. So maybe that's why I'm able to cope, and to me, it hasn't really affected me. Although it would have been nice because there was this family. I never said that before. There was this family, the Pear family. I remember I haven't seen them. I was thinking, I wish I had a family like that, with like father, mother, people,
The ideal family,
right,
they call
that
it.
type of thing. That's because I liked people. I like to be around people, that type of thing.
So you admired the Pear family,
yes,
and probably would have liked
yes, and people who have like families together.
Yes.
And even when, like, for instance, yesterday I saw this gentleman with his child and people, and I'm like, wow, that's nice.
And you smile.
I like to see that.
And you feel good.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like to see that.
Let's talk about growing up, Gloria. So where did all of this happen? In what part of Dominica?
Okay, by the police station. I grew up by the police station in the house just before formerly Harry Agencies, now Best Kissa, Best Price.
Best Price, I think
Best
it is.
Price.
Yes.
Right opposite the immigration department, that wooden house there. That's where I grew up. And in the yard it's called La Couzoine. So I grew up in that yard there. In the yard had a rum shop and little houses where people lived. So that's where I grew up. King George the Fifth Street.
King George the Fifth Street.
By Astafan.
In
By
Roseau.
police station. Close to Convent. Right in the middle of the action.
How did that come about? Is it that your parents are also from Roseau? How did that come about?
Remember, I said my mother was sent to live in town.
Mhm.
And then at some point, my mother went to live with her sister, who lived in that house. Her sister, Auntie Hastine, who had some mental issues. I'm told it was because there was a white man she loved and he left her, and that type of thing. So I grew up in this house with my aunt who had these issues. Now and then, she would go off and do things on the road and so on. But generally, I was her favorite. I was the one that could calm her and talk to her. I was the one that could bring things for her. So we had that very close relationship. And she would make me, I remember bolga, something called bolga. When I was small, I liked that. She used to make that for me.
Is it something
And sometimes
coconut or something?
No, it's a kind of green, a kind of wheat green thing.
Okay. I know I've heard about that.
They used to give that before at social center when, remember, you used to get clean and those kind of things. Well, I think they used to give those things before to be an oil. So sometimes, if they want to get through to her, as I got older, I would be the one, to think. So we were close.
Okay.
Has
she gone on?
Yeah, she died. She died.
Okay.
She died when I was at secondary school.
Okay.
At secondary school.
But tell us, Gloria, what was it like growing up in the city in Roseau? What was Roseau like back then? Give us, let us, and you're creative.
The thing about Roseau,
so create the picture for us.
The thing about Roseau back then, I had asthma, so my mother was very protective. So when other children could go and run and play and run and this and that, my mother would say inside, I always have my vest on me and so on. So I was kind of protected. I more used to be under the machine sitting down. My mother used to sew, so I used to, and the singing machine had this little thing under it. I used to be there under the machine, around the machine, and I was always reading, and mainly on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
I hardly used to go on the outside, and so much so that they would have it that almost like maybe my mother push Gigi or I push Gigi, that type of thing, But she used to allow a little now and then, But then when I was very small, because I used to get the asthma and I used to get it bad. When I get asthma, it's almost like a band playing. You hear the wheezing, very, very strong.
Are you better now?
I only got asthma as an adult when I was studying. Sometimes they say it can come back. And I'm not sure if that's what cured it, but I remember one time, I'm not sure who came up with that. They get a recipe with soft candle and pawpaw and something else and some kind of oil. And they said, drink that. And I said, no, I don't want to drink that. And they said that on me. And then in the end, I drink that. So I don't know. It left me afterwards. I'm not sure it has had something to do with it. So it could be a dream somebody got, but it was something to do, some concoction.
And you've never gotten asthma after that?
Except as an adult when I was studying once. It came back once. But,
only once?
But yes.
Okay.
And another thing too, I got, like we say, colds. Cold was my thing. I always had some napkin or something in my pocket. I always got those things. After a while, I guess I got enough already.
Old people would say, yes. Crystal failing.
Yes. Even when I was at high school, I used to get asthma, but I never liked to miss school. So what happened is my sister or somebody would bring my bag, because at that time I couldn't carry. I always had a heavy bag, big bag. They used to call me Miss Charles. So I always had a heavy bag. So I couldn't carry the bag. So they would, and to go up the hill, so they would up to Convent. So they would carry the bag for me. And I would go to school and then sit down there, put my head on the table, but I in school. I never liked to stay home.
And that was what was important.
Yeah.
That you got to go to school.
Yeah, I never liked to miss school because remember I told you I like action and people, and that was where the action was. So I never liked to miss school. And also because I live so close, I used to get home too quickly. So I would always have to walk further down with your friends and that type of thing. So yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about life in Roseau. give us a view, if you can, of what it was like back then, and the changes you've seen take place over the years.
Okay. So I went to the primary school, St. Martin Second,
St. Martin
St. Martin
Primary
Primary School,
School.
St. Martin Primary School, preschool, St. Martin Primary School. As a young child, there were other people living in our house. I remember some people going to secondary school. There was Lucia Greenaway. She's now Lucia Burton. And when these older girls had to go out, they couldn't just go like that. They have to bring the young ones with them as the excuse or whatever it is. And that time Bayfront was the thing. Everybody would go by Bayfront to cool out, or. So I would go with them. Also, I remember Astafan having a showroom, glass, and then they would have mannequins there, and sometimes they would put on model shows and some kinds of things there. So people used to go window shopping was the thing. No cell phone, no other things to distract you.
Ipanisa.
So it was, you go out, you take breeze in the morning, or you go out in the evening. They would have these shows at on the Savannah. At that time, that's where the Newton Savannah, that's where the big shows would happen. And so you'd go there. Sometimes you have to go and drop something for somebody to take to the country by the market. So you would go, if a bigger person, you go by the market to give somebody something to bring on the truck. I remember I live in days when truck was still operating. So I saw the trucks. I traveled in a truck once or twice when I went to Daly's. I remember that. And that's why I never liked Precipice, because I remember maybe all I saw was that Precipice on that side there. And it was a nice ride. Also Lago before, Independence Street, around where Burton is, Burton Electrical. They had all the shops, mainly rum shops and so on.
Rum shops.
Yes,
so
well, I think the rum they were selling because the people used to be drunk around there. And a lot of people, some people used to sleep outside on cardboard outside there. I remember seeing that. There were more standpipes in Roseau at that time. What else? Oh, and they used to have some lovely fairs at the Botanic Gardens. Every year they would have some agricultural fairs, and they would have all kinds of things on display, and machinery and produce, and you see this cotton candy thing, and it was really nice. The gardens was transformed, and people would go to that. So these were things that people look forward to. I also, when I was growing up, every little class that had dance class, drama class, something, I was in that. I remember there used to be this thing at Parish Hall on Sundays with Romel Lawrence, and I think it's Joan Prevot. At that time, she was Joan Seaman, Auntie Joan, and Tyrion would go there, and almost like a talent show. I remember going to that. I think I faux pas or I freeze or something when I was doing Columbus, Sail the Ocean Blue or something like that. But I used to go to this thing. So my mother allowed me to go to those those activities, also little dance groups and so on. So I think all these things help to shape people, to work with teams, you enjoy yourself, you see creativity. I think that's where it all started. I used to be allowed to go to be a part of that. Also, there was some persons who had churches. There was the Sims. They had a church, and they would offer Bible class and craft. That's a way to get members. That's a way to get young people, tell them about Jesus and so on. And you would learn your Bible verses and get a star. And, so we went to that. And then as we got bigger, they changed it to having cooking classes. So, being out there, you learned a lot of things through groups and these activities. What else happened?
You mentioned Daly's. I'm going to Daly's at some. What was the
yes.
Daly's connection?
Oh, my mother is from Daly's.
Your mother is from Daly's.
Yes,
okay.
The family, Victoria area, La Roche, Victoria area. That's where my mother is from. My mother's family is Martin Meritin. My grandfather name is Snyder Martin. My grandmother name is Rose Ulysses Martin. Yes, so they are from that area.
Let's talk about school. You mentioned already primary school, St. Martin Primary.
St. Martin Primary. That's where I started my first little savings. They used to give me money to go and save. And then when I left St. Martin, I brought the money to credit union. So that's why I'm vexed with them when they put a date when I started, which is not the date I know I started. They say, oh, what is the system? I say, what is the system wrong? Because I remember is when I left school, I had 14 something or 28, something like that. And we brought it to credit union and I had my account. So that was a long time, but
So
they
you
have,
opened your account at a
yeah.
certain time,
And
but they
but their
say
records have 80 something. No, but I had
Carla
opened that before that.
before that.
Yes, and although I tell them that they say about their system or something like
How
that.
you
Yeah.
made the little money that you
No,
saved?
your mother used to give you money because remember they had this to encourage children to
Mhm.
save. They would give you money to bring to school, and then they had the book and they would take notes, record it and so on. So children were taught to save at school, and then when you left school, you get your money, and then you can open your account. I
Okay.
remember that
All right.
quite
Some
well.
more about that school, yes.
Also, when I went to school, when I did the common entrance, I got a bursary.
Okay.
I thought I'll get a scholarship because I think I was smart. But
You're bright.
yeah. And some
Okay.
people that get scholarship wonder how they get scholarship, but I don't know.
Well, something went wrong.
Well, that's what we were saying as
Mhm.
young people, like how come that person gets scholarship? But anyhow, I got a bursary, and when I got the bursary, I was supposed. Usually at that time they give you a letter, but it took so long to give me the letter. At that time, I was enthusiastic, so we went and we enrolled at convent. When letter came, maybe months after, like I said, Wesley High School, I said, well, sorry, we enrolled at convent already.
But what would have been your preference?
Well, I
Convent?
remember I living next to
Next
convent,
door. Correct.
and
Correct.
then I don't know if we didn't know how it was going or whatever, or if something but the letter came very late. Anyhow, so I continued at convent. But what I did when I left sixth form, I felt that okay, I needed to give something back to Wesley High School, so I went to teach at Wesley High School.
Oh.
Right. So at convent, I got involved again in things, choir, drama, writing, and around the time I was in convent, that's when Dominica got independence, and I took part in the essay competition, and I think I got second place. I got a book. I still have the book there for my prizes. I got a book, and also that's where I became interested in drama. There was Rose Keynes had a drama group, and we had choir. And around that time, with Alwyn Bowley plays and so on, my mother used to allow me to go to see that. So I saw all the plays. I saw Street
So
Night
you are
Box.
part of the Alwyn Bully influence.
Yes, very much so. And because that was the thing at that time, radio serial and the plays drama. So I went to that. Also, around the time I went to school, that's when they had the 1979 strike. And when we missed school for a while, they mobilized us and say, bring children on the ministry. So I have pictures where I sit down on the ministry too. So our school to open because school was taking too long to open. I also,
So
while
what
I
was the purpose for bringing you on the ministry?
remember 46 days strike, all that, no school, no this, no that. So then um, there was this whole thing about solidarity with the group and getting things back to normal so we could go to school.
Okay.
Yes, I don't remember. All I know is that we were there for uniform as students.
Mhm.
I have pictures.
But you don't remember what you did, what you were there to do?
Yes, we were.
Just to support.
I think it's solidarity, and so that things could get back to normal, so that we could go back to school because we were missing school.
So you go in your uniform. You were asked to come in
Not
your
me
uniform.
alone, class
Students were asked to come
students
in their uniform.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And students showed up
Yes,
because you want to go back to school.
Yes, mothers don't like holidays. I went to that school, so I mean that's an extra holiday you didn't cater for, and plus things in the country. But I remember we went something to do with solidarity, but we were under the ministry. I was there at that time. Independence too. I was there because we had to go. It was nighttime for the thing at midnight. At that time, I was there also. Also, when they had all this disturbance and the coup in Dominica, because I live right next to the police station, I was right in the action. And I had written something because around the time when it was happening, I wrote something. I lost it, I found it, and I lost it again. I had got under the bed and I was writing what I was hearing and that type of thing. And I found it and then I lost
Can you
it.
lose that?
I don't know.
I hope you find it again. Do you
Yes.
think that it's somewhere in your home?
I guess I might find it because
You might
sometimes
find it.
I find things.
You take photos of those things just
Yeah,
in case,
yeah.
and you keep that in
Well,
your
at
phone.
that time, I remember that enough
Yes,
cell phone to go and take screenshots,
yes,
on
yes,
camera.
yes.
Yeah, but I had it somewhere. I mean, that was scary, because we're living right next to there and you're hearing all the commotion and you're hearing.
Do you still
you know,
remember?
Of course, you
Like
can't.
it was yesterday?
You can't forget that. You can't forget that because remember, there's a lot of tension and noise and vehicle banging against the thing, and they were around by when they came around by the immigration part, which is closer to our house, and and then you hear little soupçon, oh look, they killed this man, and then that policeman, and remember, because we lived by the police station, we knew a lot of policemen, right? So and we also sold soft drink and so on, so we knew people. So for us, there's something else.
So your safe place was under the bed.
Well, I go under there.
And you wrote from under the bed.
I was somewhere around there in the room there. So I was
scared as hell.
Yeah, because from since that time I've always been reading quite a lot. I read. Library books. I used to read quite a lot. All kind of Roman books, about Roman this and that. Just reading. I love reading. I love words, and you see, like now they said, if you want somebody to get off, come out from the toilet, you probably have to say, put off the Wi-Fi, because some people go there with their phone. Well, for me, if you want to go there, you probably have to tell me, let you go first, because I also liked to go there to sit there and read
in the toilet.
To sit there and read.
Oh my God!
Yeah, or if something is very interesting, I wouldn't stop reading the book. I just love to read. I love to read. And at school, I had favorite teachers. I had favorite subjects. I love biology. In fact, I wanted to be a doctor, a gynecologist, but my mother didn't have money for that. So I tried to get all kinds. It's not like the time when they had all these scholarships given.
Yes.
We didn't have that. So I tried to get scholarships, but that didn't happen. Oh, but before that, I went to sixth form in 79, because there was the hurricane in 79, and we couldn't have our graduation. Then we went to is it hurricane? The strike, something affected our graduation. I can't remember what, but then I got a scholarship to
I guess depending on the year you graduated, then probably you would know.
No, I think it's either all the unrest, because remember, all these things happened in 79, May 79, this 79, and so on. So I think something happened, and we didn't get to do our normal graduation like other people. And I got a scholarship for sixth form, but at that time, it was after the hurricane then, and sixth form wasn't, we were in fact, we were like refugees moving from by Alliance Francaise area there to UE, to at the back of grammar school, it's almost like where we could get, because places were damaged and not renovated fully. So we went to sixth form under those kind of circumstances. At sixth form, in high school, I did science subjects.
Okay.
I love biology. I was disappointed I didn't get the A in biology, but I got it in English and in did I have an A? I forget it. I have in something else. I can't remember. That time it was GC. And then after I left, but I couldn't pass the maths, boy. I got E. And after I left, I decided, well, I would do maths and commerce. I passed commerce without going to classes, just from getting notes from somebody. I got an A again. But then the maths was still low. I said, no, maybe maths jealous. So I did maths on its own.
Let me tell you.
When I did maths on its own, then I got a B in maths.
You got a B?
Yes.
Well, there's many people, including me, who are not very fond of math.
Then when I went to sixth form, I did chemistry and biology. But the chemistry was giving me blows, so I changed in the last year to economics. And I did both first and second year economics in 1 year with the help of Mr. Bazzi, Jerome Bazzi, and I passed. So I got A-levels in biology and economics.
All right.
Then I went to West High School to teach. They had me teaching English, principles of business, French, and so on. I really loved teaching. It was really nice. I had a good class. I had a third form, and we were like a little family. And because I used to have a lot of activities when I was going to school, I kind of transferred that to my children. Because when I was going to school, if anybody was sick, that was an excursion. Whole class going to see them. We go in. Yeah, man. We had some nice teachers. Andrea Dominic Christian as one of my favorite teachers. Phil Christian. Also Miss Robinson. Mr. What's his name? Mr. He look, I forget the man's name. He is one of those who was in the fire. What's his name? He works at SMA.
I am not.
The fire, the carnival
Yes,
fire.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
I don't
Anyway,
remember off my head.
one of my favorite teachers too.
And they
All
will
right.
help us. Don't worry.
Okay.
The viewers. Let me go
So
in the
so we did a lot of things at school. We were very much involved. We always went together to do things for geography. We always be so beg to go outside to have class. So sometimes our class was outside in the gardens or outside in the yard, or we would take geography would be go on the road and look at the side of the cliff going up towards Copton and that type of thing. So I sort of brought that over. So when I had my class, we did a lot of things. We took part in DBS song contest. We won. Yeah, man. We had little shop selling things. We were making money. So when other classes didn't have party, we had a class party. And we used to go out. At that time, we didn't have all this big thing about getting how much permission. I don't remember that to take children out. You organize and then you go out. I remember once having gone out with my students to the beach, and what I did was everybody had to come and meet me in the bus, and we'd have a one-on-one talk. Because I realized that sometimes you have to get to know people, not just
So you go to the beach,
Mhm,
and while you're there,
mhm.
you do little one-on-one sessions
Yeah, yeah.
with each student.
Each student. Yeah, we were very close. We were very close, so much so that it caused little problems with the other teachers because I guess they thought the children were too clingy, close, and they used to, yeah. Certain things happened.
Certain things
Yeah,
happen.
yeah. But then I mean, still now, I and some of the students we still correspond and that type of thing.
But I think that was a good thing.
I mean, some of them life. I know when the child born, I'm part of the whole, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a lot of pictures. In fact, they are showing some of them pictures of that I had. Yeah, because sometimes you just get to know your students, get to know them. I like teaching. You get to know them better. You find out what way you can help them, that type of
Yes,
thing.
yes. And I think that
what's,
was probably one of the
yeah.
most important
Mhm.
things for you, how you can help them.
Yes, so we really, in fact, I had to leave to go to study, and they were disappointed, and they even kept some ceremony, something for me after I left, and then when I came back, also we met, and then after that, well, some of them like who got married, they would invite me. We had things together, because I
So
had to leave to go to study while I was teaching them.
So
Yeah.
teaching for you was one of the highlights
Yeah,
of your life.
I love teaching. Yes.
You love teaching.
Mhm, mhm.
But
But teaching, but then you do it with a difference. It's not like just pure chalk and talk and that kind of thing. It's you find ways to do
creative
it,
ways.
and then you get to know. Although when I started to teach, it was challenging because I was almost the age of some of the people I taught. Because if I show you some people I taught, you'd say, "Hey, you old man," but then some of them were very close to my age.
Okay.
And some children, when you get there, they want to challenge you. So for me, my coping thing was, okay, he was struggling to give me, well, I just do as if you're not there. Maybe that was bad, but sometimes you just have to do that. 'Cause otherwise, you just be there,
Fighting
attending to
yeah.
distraction. So it was nice. And what I found was that when I taught, and later when I went to volunteer in certain schools, and I looked at the difference in terms of how they behave, I'm like, what? I remember going to grammar school once or twice to give a little talk and so on. And before we finished, we want to get up and go. And no, that wasn't happening before. You wait till the bell ring, you wait, and you do certain things, and then you go out. So then it kind of showed you. I saw the change. I saw the change in terms of how students behaved before and how students changed. So I loved the teaching. So I went to study. I was supposed to go to study biology with education. Okay, I tried for dentistry. I didn't get it. I tried for all scholarship, but I tried. I want to go and study.
So going to study that, what was the objective?
Well, I was trying to get. First of all, I wanted to do medicine. I couldn't get it.
You couldn't get
So
medicine.
then, whatever scholarship was offered, once it was in a field where I think, okay, I can do that, I would try because the scholarship I want because I cannot afford, right? Because we were not rich people. We were not, well, I would say we were poor to the extent where I didn't feel it that much because my aunt in London and some other people would contribute. So my aunt would send barrel box things and so on. So I would have things from overseas. And also my mother had people who would help her. I remember once or twice my mother would tell me, go by that person and ask them for the thing, and I didn't like that. So that's one of the things that I think that motivated me to
Yes.
learn and work, and because you know
You wanted better circumstances.
right. And I
Rupert
think
Lance is the name that
right,
we're
Mr.
trying to
Lance,
get.
Mr. Lance.
Yes.
And I think early on I realized that I had potential and I was going to do something to make sure that I was able to learn and earn. Because I would sit and watch people and feel people, and sometimes I would see how some people lives change because of certain circumstances. And I told myself, no, that wasn't going to happen to you. And I always wanted to achieve so that I was able to help my family out of the situation.
And more so your mommy.
Right.
Yes.
Because I never know my mother working anywhere.
So you said she sewed.
Yeah, but then my mother had some medical issues or some issues that I never quite got to know about, really, like rumors and things. But twice my mother had some issues where probably she almost like therefore she died or that kind of thing, and she had to be taken to Trinidad, and then something has happened to her. So my mother had some issues, and so she didn't walk quite like brisk and so on. So I didn't know my mother working.
So how did she
That's
care for you?
that's what I'm telling you. So there was a lot of support from my aunt and other people who supported the family, and my sister worked for a little while also.
So that was not
Right.
going to happen
Yes.
forever.
Right.
Not if you
Okay.
had an opportunity.
All right. But
to
I
learn.
but I didn't feel it to the extent where you have nothing, that type of thing. You probably didn't have enough. 'Cause I remember once I used to go to a friend of mine's home, Leandra. She knows that because Leandra later we were friends from since primary school. And when I go by Leandra mother, boy, I see Leandra mother giving her plenty meat. I said, boy, I never see meat so. I don't remember that. So we didn't have plenty, that kind of thing.
Right.
And also, I used to use a lot of second-hand clothes. Maybe that's why I like flea market and those things there. So a lot of my things were second-hand. When I was going to school, my books second-hand, my clothes second-hand. Even when I was going to convent, I wore my sister's shoes, second-hand shoes. And then they turn a skirt around, because my mother was the same shoes. So some skirt, they turn it around, and I had that skirt. And then, but the thing is that now when I got the real shoes now, maybe best I had my sister's shoe, because the real shoe, the kind of material was a kind of a material when the sun hit that, your foot burning. So I kind of grew up like that. In fact, I had that skirt for up to fourth form until a teacher, Miss Celia Nicholas, decided that too short for fifth form.
She didn't know.
So I had to change the skirt in fifth form to a longer skirt. So I wore the skirt from
So
first
you were
to...
growing, and of course, as you were growing, the skirt would appear to be shorter.
For me, it wasn't short. At that age, checking that short. Anyhow, so I had to change the skirt in fifth form. So I had a skirt for 1 year, but besides that, I wore my skirt from up to that time. Okay. But school was nice. I liked school. I liked going to school. I liked learning. And I had a trick. I come home, I do my homework. So when I do my homework, there's no way you can tell me not to go somewhere because I do your homework or did you do your homework. No. I ahead of that already. So I do my homework. Sometimes I go back to school, make sure all that was done, and then you negotiate, can I go there or can I go here?
You were smart.
Yeah, man.
Because it makes sense.
Yeah. So I got that out of the way, homework out of the way, all what you have to do out of the way, and then you negotiate to go out and have a good time.
Let's talk more about when you went off to study.
So when I was supposed to I got a scholarship to do biology education at Keyville. But when I went there, because of the schedule for the biology and the science subjects I had to do, the education just could not come in because they were in two different faculties and the timetables didn't, they clashed. And therefore I just had to do natural science. So my first degree is in natural science.
Natural science.
Science subjects. So that's biology, chemistry, and then we did all those science things. And towards the second and third year, I went towards marine and environment. So I did a lot of marine and environment subjects, and I quite like them. In fact, I did well in them, and then one of my lecturers had gotten me a scholarship.
Another scholarship.
Yes, but then I had to. But then the government of Dominica had to agree. I had to go through them, but she had negotiated for it for me. So she told me when I go down to Dominica, let them know. When I went down to Dominica, they did not at that point. They did not quite understand this whole thing about environment. They were thinking about environment health, and so I went to this PS and explained to him about the scholarship, and um, they said they don't know about that, and then they offered me fisheries. So when I got the offer to go to fisheries, I went to fisheries. While I was in fisheries, the scholarship came, but it was given to somebody else.
Oh.
And that somebody else didn't even work long and left. But while in fisheries, I did a lot of, I still continued in environment. I attended a lot of meetings, conferences, training. In fact, I've traveled a lot on, I do say, other people money. Yeah, I'm telling you. I mean, I have done a lot of training in the area of environment. I think if I didn't go to law, I would have probably been big in environment. So while I was, so when I came back and I was in fisheries, I did a lot of training courses, meetings, and at that time, fisheries was changing. And so there was always something, a meeting or some workshop or something. And I lost one or two opportunities to study. I was supposed to have gone to study in Canada. Something happened, so much so that my name was still in the system. That when I travel, the person is saying, "But you're in Canada." I said no, because it was I was supposed to have gone to Dalhousie. Everything was in the system, or in immigration system. But something happened. I didn't go, and then I finally went to do my masters. I was supposed to have gone to Scotland, and within like a month or something, the thing just changed to Bangor. I had no idea where that was. I got a scholarship, I had to go to Bangor. Then I had to research and find out that Bangor was in Wales, and I left to go to Bangor, Wales. When I get to Bangor, Wales, I guess I probably was disturbed about the whole thing and how things turned out. That when I was in Bangor, Wales, every day I would dream I Dominica, literally. Almost like I was there, but my spirit was back in Dominica. So in Wales, I lived in Bangor. It was like a small, like a sort of village, like in Wales. And man, this is where I saw wind and rain, almost like hurricane. I mean, rain wasn't normal rain. When and a lot of wind and cold and so on. But it was a good experience. I met a lot of people there, different people. While I was there, what I did was work hard and travel. So there was this student what do you call them, student travel, and you'll get discounted rates to travel. So while I was there, I went to Sweden, I went to Italy, I went to Iceland, I went to Cornwall. So I would just work hard, and as soon as there was a holiday, travel somewhere. Yeah.
Yes, of course,
Yeah.
discovering new
Yeah,
places,
yeah.
of
So
course.
it was rare. It was really good. And then also my aunt lived in England, so sometimes I would go to England. I'll go to England because it's not somewhere that you can go and say you're coming back home. No, so instead of coming back home, I would either go to England or go somewhere else.
What did these types of scholarship entail? What did you get?
Well, that's the other thing. Sometimes when you get a scholarship, people try and change it, and you get a little racism and so on. I had to fight because when they tell you get one thing, some people try to change it otherwise. But if you're good for yourself and you have your documents, you go and say, no, this is not what was signed for, and you know. So they pay for your. We lived in a house. We lived in the students lived in a house, so they pay for your tuition, everything. Yeah, I can't remember. They may have given us a stipend, I would think, but I don't remember too much details about that. But well, once I could travel and all that, that means I had money. So, I would go on this discounted travel rates. You get the student rates, and you would go for like a work week or two to these places. Also, as part of the course, we went to Ireland, we went to Scotland, and as part of the course in terms of field trips and so on. So, and also there was something where you could get to know another family. So I signed in for that, and I went to a place called Portsmouth in England. I went to live with a family, and so everything to just to get a different feel. And I think traveling is good. If I, to me, everybody should leave and go somewhere and come back. When you travel, you meet people, you understand people, you see how things happen differently, and also you know how to, as they say, help yourself, and almost like stand on your own, and you see other things, and you get inspiration. Traveling, I love traveling. I love traveling. The only thing is that I've traveled a lot on my own. Travel a lot on my own. You get lost, but if you can
You
read,
survive.
if you can read,
You
that
survive.
type of thing. Um, Also, when I was in Dominica, there's something I want to talk about too, in terms of getting experiences. Summer school used to be a big thing when I was younger.
Summer school.
Oh, mama, I must have gone to all summer school. I have cake decorating, dressmaking, in what is it, steel band, technical drawing, all kinds of things. I think this really helps, and for me, it opens up your mind. Um, yes, so I
So
worked in
overall,
fisheries.
yes,
Um, I also went on some what do you call them?
trainings, workshops.
Beside training, we also did research, so I had to
Okay.
go on boats and so on. I remember going from Barbados to Trinidad on the boat. Um, we spent time researching on flying fish, and that's where I learned that when you're going on a boat, you eat. You eat so that you have something in your stomach to come out. Because if you don't have something to come out, your lining of your stomach comes out and you're sick for the whole time. So after that experience, whenever I go on like Express or anywhere, oh, I have things to eat.
So,
I
but
eat
you eat,
before.
but then you ended up.
No, no, no. I did not eat enough. So therefore, when I got sick and had to vomit, it irritated the lining of my stomach or something. And then after everything I ate, I was sick. So I got the trick that you eat. So when you eat, the first thing that'll come out is what does it there. So then it wouldn't affect you that much.
Wouldn't affect you that much.
So
Glory.
so whenever I go on a plane or a boat, I have food. I don't have to share.
Oh
Yeah.
my
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah, 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 yeah. I have my things. I walk with my stocks. Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, Gloria, and we're going to come back. This is the In the Spotlight radio show. And we are, yes, it's already after 9 minutes past 9 o'clock. We thank those of you who are tuned in via radio and those who are with us via the In the Spotlight radio show page on Facebook. We thank you for tuning in. We also would like to say thank you to the Great Old House. Good evening to you, Steve, and your team. I understand our dinner has been picked up, and we will get our dinner at the end of our program. So if you're looking for some fine dining, check out the folks at the Great Old House. They also have Callaloo Restaurant. It's right there, along in the Astafans area, right opposite the parking lot. So you can go there during the weekdays and Saturdays to get your food from the Great Old House and from Callaloo Restaurant. And our snacks have also arrived from Ronald Astafan. And I always like to make the folks jealous. So if you don't mind, just show that to the camera. I know I can see some meat pies in there. I can see some tarts. I can see a few other things, cheese straws. And he said, Ferdina, it will vary on Monday night. So I look forward to receiving these. All did you show it to them, Septra? Show it to them. There we go. There we go. There we go. So thank you to Ronald Astafan for that. And I really like when I find good people to work with, and they come through in a big way. So let me just say to you that each gift box that was sent to us tonight has 3 tarts, 3 quiche, bacon, tuna, and spinach, 3 pies, beef, veggie, and chicken, and 3 sweet potato pudding and cheese straws as well. So if you're looking for that, check out the folks at Pamplemousse Goodies and Services. They also provide venue rentals for events. So he has this lovely, lovely place that you can get there. He'll also provide catering services, Pastries, cakes, snacks, and products are also available at supermarkets, some of these cheese straws and fruit cakes as well. And he's saying there's so much more to come. And I really, truly appreciate this, as I said, Ronald. And thank you for the support. And for all the folks who have already come through to support us for our anniversary celebrations, we're truly happy and appreciate your efforts. And we definitely will give you all your due credit. We're coming right back right after this. Our guest tonight, she's a magistrate by profession, but there's so much more to talk about, and we have to try to fit all of this in before 10 o'clock tonight. Keep it locked. We're coming right back. This is the In the Spotlight radio show. We have a chance here to take a sip from our Twapita water. Compliments Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited.
In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican life, spotlighting their triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of our people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, our public servants, youth, and the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the Spotlight will also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight.
In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican life, spotlighting their triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, and aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of our people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, public servants, youth, the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the Spotlight, we'll also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m.
In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican life, spotlighting their triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of our people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, our public servants, youth, and the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the Spotlight will also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight.
Thank you so much for sticking around with us while we took a quick break to grab a sip of Twapito water. Again, thank you to Josephine Gabriel and the Company Limited. They are the agents for Twapito water and for Barefoot wine. And we thank them for their support over the years to the In the Spotlight radio show. And we are back with Gloria Septra Augustus. And as we speak, Gloria is a magistrate. And before we get to magistrate, Gloria, so you finished your degree in Wales. And what was the name of it? Bangor. And that experience to you was a good one. You returned to Dominica, and then
I continued working at the Fisheries Division.
oh, even after that master's, you returned.
Because I was in fisheries. I went to the masters as part of training because I was being trained to take over the Fisheries Division.
Oh, you were being trained for
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But that wasn't to happen.
Things happened.
Things happen.
Yeah.
Well, Gloria, quite a few things happened to you along your life journey.
I'm on radio, so I wouldn't say.
Yes.
I won't give you another word.
Yes.
Things happened.
So you came back and you worked there for how long again?
Couple of years.
Couple of years.
Yeah, and then I started. Then I needed to move, so I started to do the law.
You started to do law.
Yes, and I did law with UE. What do you call it? Distance learning.
Mm-hmm.
And then I changed to University of London. And when I was building, I had to forgo 1 year because it was too much stress with building and so I think no, one or the other. So I lost my money for 1 year. I told myself, no, it's either you or the studies. So it was too much stress. So I continued after, and then I had to go to law school. And I was sent by mistake to Jamaica when I was supposed to have I was supposed to have been in Trinidad.
How does that happen?
I'll tell them how that happened. So there I am in Jamaica, and when I go to school, they tell me you're not supposed to be there. By that time, I have my money in bank. I get house already, everything. So when I went back to Trinidad, I told myself, and through Alvin Bully, there was somebody, Dr. Nurse, somebody that I got to know through him, and I met the man in Jamaica, and I asked the man, I said, sir, I told him my situation, and I said, all I need is one night at your home, talk to your wife, and once I get to Trinidad, I must be Dominicans, and I would, things. And then he spoke to his wife, and then I traveled.
So you couldn't have stayed?
No, because
if that's not where you were supposed to be?
No, because the people said I'm supposed to be in Trinidad.
So how did that happen, Gloria?
Somebody made a mistake. So when I got to Trinidad,
so Dr. Nurse accommodated you?
Yes,
Okay.
He spoke to his wife. I slept there the night. Next day, I went to meet my people, Sandra, Julian, and so on, and then organized me, and I got a place in Trinidad. And I said, somebody have to give me my money back, because I was looking forward to going home for Christmas on my year ticket,
yes, of
which
course.
I had to now change. So when this one said no, this one said no. As I said no, I went higher and higher, and the council, the school council or law council, whatever it was, they actually paid me back, because I had even lost on my money that I had put into the bank already and all that. So they gave me back my ticket, and I was satisfied, because I got no and no and no. As I got no, I went higher, because I felt I had a case. You all can't make a mistake, make me lose my whole big ticket, and then and I was looking forward to going for Christmas. I said, So the gentleman, he in charge, they gave me my money back.
Give you all of it?
Well, they compensated me, whatever it was.
Okay.
I was satisfied.
Okay.
I was satisfied.
I want to ask though, Gloria, why the move to law at this time?
That's why I told you I needed to leave fisheries.
You needed to leave fisheries. But what was it about law that made you go in that direction?
I needed a way out, and also I think somewhere in the back of my mind, when I was older, I learned to talk before I was 1 year. I even used to talk patois before I was 1 year. And I used to like to argue a lot and talk a lot. All my report cards had much too talkative, talks too much. They didn't know how to put it. But if I wasn't talking, I probably was daydreaming. So it's unfair I was talking. So people always used to tell me about that. And I used to also have a big bag. I always have things that you see, like Miss Childs, and And then as I grew, I kind of got interested in the area, and I felt that was a way of, changing careers and going that way, since this one wasn't going the way that I needed it to go at this stage of my life. So I did law, and then I went to law school in Trinidad. And when I came back, I went to work as a state attorney. But there's something I want to mention also.
Please
I was
do.
also very much involved in first aid. So I was a member of the Red Cross for a number of years, and then I went across to St. John's Ambulance. I was chairperson of St. John's Ambulance. So through first aid and so on, I traveled quite a lot. And also, I did a lot of courses because I was also interested, I didn't say that, in being a nursing tutor. I don't know what nursing did to my mother. She didn't like that. Every time I talk about nursing, my mother would not like that. So that's what happened. So I decided my mother didn't like it. So okay, I really wanted to be a nursing tutor, and that also stemmed from my love for biology. I just love biology. So I wanted to do that, but it didn't happen. I like the sciences. I like things about people.
I have to read one or two of the comments.
Hey, what do they say?
Somebody says you were very moody and feisty. That's what somebody says about you. And somebody said, my grandmother used to tell her, you talk too much. You worry my head.
No, I ready to talk. That was true. I used to talk a lot. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I always used to talk.
Yes. This
So,
lady, somebody's
yeah.
also saying this lady is very special, asking for God's continued blessings on her, enjoying the show.
Okay.
Yes.
Used to talk. And because I used to read, I used to write a lot. I think so much. Sometimes I would have whole conversations in my head. I would write whole speech in my head. And particularly, there's something that water does to me. Sometimes if I'm at my sink washing plates, I'm in another world. I have a whole thing going on. I'm not sure what's in my head. Also, when I dream in color, detail. When I was studying, every morning I get up, I have something to say. Detail. I don't know if I'm sleeping or if I go into some other place, but so I have this and I also have a photographic memory. Whenever I just, sometimes that's how in exams, I would kind of figure out where that was or what I saw there. I have a way of creating things. I learn by making connections and that type of thing. So I also write a lot. And when I wrote first, it was because there was this young boy I was helping who inspired me. And I wrote a story about him. His name is Sebastian Tousse, although we look vexed now, If you hear that, somebody must tell him what I say, and you know why. So I wrote the story because I met this young boy when I was in fisheries, and he was this young boy who used to make things out of recycled material. And that's one thing, when I see young people with talent, I'm like, wow, that's a talent. We need to push that. So I met him once when I went to one of these Heritage Day things, and I made a connection there, and I continued the connection. And then when he came to town, I continued helping him and promoting his work. And when I was building my house, I got them to hire him and give him his little rubbing stone. And that we're close. In fact, I got him to do art at GCE. So he has a GCE in art. And even when I used to, I would go there, they would say, your mother and I would say, no, you see, tell him yes, man. And when he was 21, I had a party for him. We had that, he was like my family. And I also got him to promote his work exhibitions through the tourism people and so on. He had his teen art creations. So I wrote this story, inspired by him. And when I got the first prize, I say, what? I win. So, after that, I write it again because I should say that's at least gas money. So I wrote for every independence I would write. And I wrote 10 stories. I got 6 first place places and 4 second place places. And here are the names of my stories now, boy.
Let me hear them.
One of them is What a Life, like WHAT, and What a Life. This one was inspired by when they had this whole mining issue. And I wrote about a little boy going back into what water did to him, what water meant to him, and the kind of things that happened with water and by the river and so on. And when he grew up, he was a politician. And when he realized that the whole mining issue would affect the water, and he decided, although he was part of the party, he could not vote. So that is, that there. Reality Comes After a Fall is somebody whose mother tried to kill her, and she was raised by another family member, and they never told her that that person was not her mother. But when she fell one day in town, she started to get flashbacks of something that happened to her, and she found it strange. And then she asked a question, and her godmother told her. In fact, this story, an excerpt of this story, is in what's his name? Alec Laza compiled the story, Writers of Dominica. Is going to be launched sometime, and an excerpt of that story is in that. Of my stories in that.
Well done.
Yeah. End of the cycle. There's End of the Cycle. That's the one that was inspired by Sebastian. P.T. Cavinigua is about something a friend told me in terms of her mother and her mother relationship with her. The beginning of the rest of his life was a little boy who went the wrong way into drugs and so on. Picking Up the Pieces was a little boy who wanted to know his father. That Ben Became My End was about a little boy again. Blood Talking was about somebody who happened to have met or found out who his father was when he traveled and he met somebody. From Rejection to Reality was a young girl who got pregnant for an older person and what she went through. And The Wait was about a little boy whose mother lived in Guadeloupe and so on. And they went by the port to meet her. Or what happened with his grandmother and the living and going down to town, showing and so on. And then the mother came, and when they went to meet her by the port and his reaction. That type of thing. So that's why they say I need to be psychoanalyzed, because everything there is about some child, something.
Yes.
So I'm thinking of, I have been thinking of putting that into a book called Reality Series.
Yes.
They Tell Me to Tell You, because it's almost like people's stories, things that, people think. I also did some television series, videos and so on. I also wrote a play for Independence when they had a competition. And Mr. Bully had sent me something. In fact, I'm thinking that sometime later, using what he sent to make the changes that he gave, and do that in somehow in his honor. Because really he sent a whole expose. It was in 2000 and whatnot. I have the email there that he sent me while he was in Jamaica.
Right.
It's in 2002.
Always Bully seems to have impacted so many people.
Yeah. And I also did I used to do a lot of videos, television videos for discussion points. They do What Can You Do to do with sexual abuse against minors, one for boys, one for girls. So you'd show it and then have a discussion. It Only Takes One, that was a play, then we did into a movie. It has to do with HIV and stigma. I also did something called Make the Move, a whole thing on domestic violence. I wrote it, and it was done by a group. Jump Up School had to do with climate change. And when we had the joint secondary school drama group, I'm part of a group called La Coudeza de la Dominique. We started off as Alliance Francaise Drama Group. And we had the joint secondary school drama as a sub-project. And we got our first set of money through Digicel under Caring Connections. And then after that, we got quite a bit of support for different things, from UNESCO, from Juvenile Justice Reform, from even Drug Prevention Unit, HIV unit, Social Investment Fund. So we did film, and we did plays with these young people. And our young people went to Martinique on several occasions. They went also to St. Lucia. So when you hear the name Enoch Lee, Major Jeffers, Mr. Deputy Speaker, what's Deputy Speaker name? Mr. Roll, all those people were part of the drama group. Marissa. So some of them, Shalina. So all these young people were part of the group. Jewel, I mean, a whole set, because we did it for a number of years, and some of them have graduated and come to the parent group now.
Okay.
But when we had this group, it was like, it wasn't just do drama. We got projects and we did things. We used to have workshops. Because whatever they had to do, we had to learn about it. So we created a lot of content for environment and for HIV, and we also went out with them. So we would take them out on outings. And I remember Phyllis Mother had offered us where we would come to their zip line what they had, the zip line thing that they do for the tourists at Layu, and we went to that also. Also went to St. Lucia with them. It was really, it was really, really, really good, really good. And I've seen some of these young people grow, and we still keep in touch. And I really have a passion for drama. In fact, I volunteered at the St. Martin Secondary School first. And when we won a competition, a schools art festival, we got a prize to go to Trinidad to a regional competition.
Your group? The group?
The school, St. Martin Secondary School. And we went to Trinidad in a regional competition in San Fernando. We did Bird and Talk that had something to do with marrying the whole concept of cellular phone at that time, which was new. And also, there was one day when I called all of them in and we spoke about their young life and in terms of this thing called your period. And if you hear the kind of stories, and based on that, I wrote something, because the kind of things that happen or how children get to know. One of the things that I'll give you as a joke was that a little girl said one time that her father probably didn't know it was coming every month. So, or how many times a month. So every time she would tell him when she want money, she would say she have a period, so she would get money for pad. And then one time she would ask him. And then was saying when their mother told them, well, if you go with boys, so they fall down. If they go with a boy, they get, I mean, the stories were so things. So I wrote something based on that. In fact, we got an award for how the creative way of tying the two things. And but it has really been good, working with these young people. The last thing I did, we did 2 movies. The last one we did had to do with Pretending Reality, but it's a short movie. It has to do with, it was done in terms of the Status of Children Act, where as a discussion point as to children and whether a child needs to know their father no matter how they were conceived and things about children. So it was a discussion point about a boy wanting to know who was his father. So it was one of my stories that was adapted to that, and we got funds and we did that other thing. It was shown here and we showed it in St. Lucia, but you don't see it because it's something that way is not for entertainment. It's really for you to think, like bring you in and then get you to think, and then we discuss because we get in somewhere. So they're really teaching things for teaching. Also, we did the HIV one for stigma. And one of the things that I used to, let me choose my words. A lot of times on the radio, all you hear is big up this, big up that, all kind of music, I'm like, why can't we use radio for something better than that? So I always used to call Mr. Stephen Dangleben and say, hey, instead of that big up, tell people, have you told your child I love you or something? I'll tell him, tell people that instead, because radio is positive. And you tell them things, or you say things that make them think, am I doing that as a parent? Or the child might say, mommy, they say to do that, that type of thing. So I felt, why not put parenting on the radio?
Yes.
So we had a 10-part series, and I wrote it, and we got a panel after every episode to discuss. But you see, a lot of these things you need funding.
Yes.
And once funding finish, bagai finish.
That's it.
And this is not what it should be. Like for instance, I also wrote a 101, meaning a way to talk to the ordinary person, or a simple way of telling you what's in the Sexual Offences Act.
Okay.
I did that for Child Fund under a project. It was done. I don't know where it is. I don't know how it was used, but it's done and it's there. No. But usually what you find is after the project done, did it for the project no longer there, things just go, it's just there. Well, so there are lots of things that we have that we don't use.
There's social media now, Gloria. Is there a way that you can get some of this on?
Yeah, but this one is actually, they were supposed to use it for education. So it actually spells out, but it breaks it down in such a way that you understand what's in each of the sections and it explains things. That one is not a visual thing. That one is something where they would use it in their education and thing.
When did you feel inspired to do this type of work, especially with young people? Something must have inspired you. Something must have led you to begin doing that type of work with young people.
All right. I think there are lots of people who have talent, and that talent is not harnessed in the right way. Like just some time ago, they had some people coming from overseas, like young people, on some big project, and they had them at that time we had Arawak still, and they were showcasing the talent. And I'm like, yes, but we have people like that in Dominica, and I have seen it in plays. And people like young actors and so on. When we went with Tisha AP4 with that little boy, what was his name? I forget his name. I mean, people love the boy. When the boy went to God with the boy, I mean, the boy used to come back with almost things, everybody, because they love to see young people. You see, like how ghetto kids is the thing now. Everybody know ghetto kids because they're on social media. Those who dance, they just went to Britain Got Talent. Because when you see these young people show off their talent, and when they show off their talent and you help them to develop that talent, you think they have time to go and do other things because they're excited, they're being loved, they're being highlighted, they're getting satisfaction. So they're looking to do more and more and more in that area, right? And I feel that a lot of the talent that we have, young people have, needs to be harnessed. You need to, and steer it in the right direction and help them to grow. So for me, it's about making somebody better. It's about bringing out a potential that someone has. Because, for instance, I help people if they want to help themselves. I try to help you, and I see you don't help yourself. At some point, I give up.
Yeah.
But I will try to help you. And some people, all they need is that hand,
Yes.
somebody,
To hold.
something, some voice.
But Gloria, you did quite a bit of it. What would you like to see done to continue some of the work that you started?
Boy, I will try and continue some of what I started. Sometimes you try otherwise and nothing happens. So I don't want to depend on other people. So I will do what I can do. And even when we were doing things as a group, there are people who used to support us, like Mr. Ed. I could go to Mr. Ed and say, Mr. Ed, we're doing this. Mr. Luis of J's, Mr. J's, we're doing this. Because people see the things that you're doing with young people and they help. So there are lots of people who help. There was somebody who sent something from America for us. Our makeup kit was a gentleman who came down. His mother heard about us. We had a workshop with us. He said, my son is in drama, had a workshop with us, brought things for us. So people, some people, when they see you doing things, they come and they help. If you have to wait to say, well, go for government or whatever, that might take too long. Although now I'm hoping that they will assist in some way, because I have this thing that I wrote on. It was written for PAHO initially, but after Erica, because they had diverted money, it never happened. It has to do with obesity in children. And we know that for some other thing, obesity in children leads to all the other CNCDs that we have. So I'm speaking with some people in for the Ministry of Health to see how we can get that done. Because if we can have the conversation, keep those things active, and really it will help. It's not just about putting a poster. People don't watch poster. Some people like drama. People like those things. Imagine wake up calls in 1998. People still meeting me. So where do you think now? What are you doing again now? And when I was small, I used to see you. Or when they hear the voice, I know that voice. And people, so you draw people in. People love that.
So,
right?
so that brings us to as you mentioned, the wake up call.
Yeah.
This is something that is embedded in our minds. We remember it very well.
Right.
It's interesting though that we remember a lot about Buddha and what Buddha used to do to you.
Sometimes I ask people if you remember the other part. They say, yes, I remember the other part. I say, that alone you remember?
But that's what most people remember, and how Buddha was so mean to you. And, well, it was domestic violence.
That's not what they remember, no?
No?
There was something where he talked about super logic. That is what they remember. Who know? Or you say, if you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. Okay? That's what a lot of them remember. But yes, it was about domestic violence, so therefore something had to be done in that way.
The wake up call. That was a good series.
We are hoping to as a group to build on that also. Our drama group. We worked a lot with the young people, and we're hoping now to develop our group. In fact, we are going to be doing the night box somewhere. We're targeting hopefully end of July, early August. We're going to
Is
be
that the disco?
hell no.
Referencing to the disco?
Ferdina, how you ask me that? The Night Box.
The
Alwyn
night
Bully,
box.
The Night Box.
The night box.
The
Okay.
Night Box, Alwyn
Okay.
Bully's
Okay.
thriller play, Murder
Yes.
Mystery.
Okay.
You never heard about that?
I've never seen it, or I don't know of that particular
So that
one.
means you didn't come to the thing they had for Alwyn.
No, I was not there.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
not there.
All right. So the Night Box.
Yes.
This thing was played. I heard over 46 times. They went to Carrie Festival, that it went overseas and everything, and we did an excerpt. And so what you can do is to get a taste of it. You can look at Alwyn Bully's tribute. Something in the clouds, whatever it is.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And you will see an excerpt there of,
Okay.
of that.
So I will
So we
look for
hope-
that,
yes.
and I look
Mhm.
forward to you doing it.
Yes, in fact,
and then
it was
I
a
will
big thing.
show up.
Mhm. And the thing is that when they had this plays, it was night after night after night. You have to try and get your ticket and so on. These things were, this was the thing.
I guess there was
Right?
not much else, in terms of.
Yeah, but that was what it was.
Okay.
Now that you're thinking of the other thing, you would say not much else,
Mhm.
but that was the else. That was
it.
That was it.
Right?
That was it.
That was
you know.
it.
So we're doing, because have you heard of Streak also?
Streak?
Yeah,
I
that's
have.
Alwyn Bully's place.
Yes, I have heard of
Streak.
Streak.
Okay, so there's
Yes.
Streak. There's POPO.
I have heard of POPU.
Okay, all right. Okay, so you know some things.
I know
All right.
some things. I know some
Okay.
things because there's been other people who've come through
Yeah,
the
okay.
program and have spoken
All
about
right.
some of them.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So so this we're hoping to do that. I also did I tried some poems too, and I've written talent for people, and I'm hoping also to do something on environments. In fact, we had done a whole week of environment workshops with the same young people. So we're hoping to work on that also. But the one for childhood obesity is called SOS. SOS, almost like Save My Soul, but then it also is synonymous with salt, oil, and sugar. That's where the things are: too much salt, too much oil, too much sugar, right? So it's about that, so that we can keep that conversation and really look at. It's something that every time I go on the internet, I see something about that somewhere, and I think in Dominica we need to get back to that.
Mhm.
So in addition to all the other things we have, we need to get people talking about that. We need to look at our lifestyle, what we eat, how active we are, and so on, so that we can save ourselves some money and get some good health by changing the way we do some things. Because for something, because some of the CNCDs it really needs a lifestyle change.
Somebody says here she contributed enormously to youth at risk.
Oh yes. That one. Okay, they sent me on I went on several study tours.
Mhm.
And at the study tours, you go to see what other people are doing in other countries in terms of young people. And I remember when I came from the study tour in El Salvador, UNICEF was going to give some money to do something in Dominica. And I said, boy, we can't let that money go, because at that time I was a magistrate and I know the little bit, what we need to do, and the law we have and the whole system didn't allow enough to be done. So when UNICEF decided they were going to give that money, I found that the powers that be were moving too slow. So I decided, okay, I will go and team up. I will encourage other people, get an NGO to come forward and do something. So I got in touch with the social center because they were doing some things. I got some other people on board, and I had a meeting and told them about that. Look, there's some money going to come through, and we need to do something. And can you all come up with a project? So we came up with a project, but it was under the social center, and I called it From Offending to Achieving. FOTA. It's still going on now, and so in fact we had a meeting with a minister. He was busy. Like a half a meeting. So after that, I said, well, we're going ahead. Eh? So I went through the people, and we did that. We tried to bring it in through the front door. It came through the back door. And through FOTA, we did a lot of things for young people in terms of training, in terms of some kind of diversion, photography course, little social development, personal development, academic things and so on, somewhere that you would send them to. So I would send them to these programs and so on to assist.
Have you seen some level of success, examples of success?
Yeah,
from that.
It did some things for some people. Some went back because sometimes you need more things in the equation for a total change. But it, at least, it did some people well. In fact, there's a young man that I see, and I know he was part of FOTA. So you have one or two success stories. Some of my fellows too, they end up being dead, shot and that type of thing and so on, or murdered. But some of them went through that. They at the time. But then you find that maybe you need some other things to keep them on track. So for quite a long time, UNICEF funded it, and then but now the government of Dominica has taken over to assist. In fact, every Wednesday when we have juvenile court, one of the officers there come to the court, because when we deal with young people, it's not about just what they did, but also when we have to get background information, we look to see where they come from, what's happening, and so on. So sometimes, so every time on Wednesday we have somebody from the welfare division and somebody from FOTA. They come and they sit, and sometimes chances. So in case you want guidance on something, or they have dealt with that person, then it's almost like you have a discussion, or they contribute, or they say something, or you ask for a report, or you ask for follow-up and that type of thing. So in fact, they won an award in Jamaica. It won an award in Jamaica for Youth at Risk, the program. We submitted it when they were giving awards.
Good stuff. Did you get some money to help with the program, or just an award?
And I can't remember. Mr. Brown had gone. I don't remember now, because it was through Social Center. I remember, although I assisted, and Mr. Anthony, two of us, we really helped to push it. It was really being done through Social Center. But we also got a lot of funding through Juvenile Justice to do some of the work that they did. So I also helped with Operation Youthquake, and so it's
from one extreme to another. Ophelia Murray is listening. Good evening, Lady O, and she's asking, can we request attitudes and behaviors to do with aging? So I suspect she's asking if you would do something along those lines.
C'est pas ça, Kamadi,
no, c'est pas ça, Kamadi.
No, I did some work for them, consultancy for them. And also just recently, I was in Martinique. In fact, I have spoken in Martinique. There is an agency in Martinique that used to be called LAMDO, dealing with older persons. And they would have these seminars and symposiums. So I went once to speak on domestic violence against older persons. I went a second time for, what it was? Can't remember. But I just came back recently speaking about guardianship of older persons. And I was telling Ophelia, this is something that we need to talk about in Dominica, and that I was willing to help for us to do that. I also spoke to Mary-Therese Juncker, who is involved with older persons, and so that we can do something on that. Because sometimes you have to get it out there and have people talking and discuss and get something done, because we have the resources. We can't just wait on government. Sometimes you have to push the cowboy yourself. Sometimes you have to get views of other persons and see how best you can deal with some situations, not wait when it gets to crisis stage. So I suggested to her that we, in fact, while I was there, I sent her WhatsApp and she said, okay, yes. And I have followed up with her, and hopefully at some point soon, we will see how together we can do something on that area, particularly for persons who have dementia and so on. Even before that happens, how do we treat with them and their property? How do we treat with them and their everyday needs? How do we treat with the the caretakers that are going to take care of them? How do we deal with their finances? Who's going to be in charge? So we have to talk about those things.
Good stuff.
So this is something also. I have given a lot of once or twice people have heard me and say, "What? I want you at my graduation." So I've given speeches at some graduations, and one of the things I find, well, for me, when I go to graduation, it's not about just go and read a thing for you. I I can understand young people and their level, so I look for something on area where it's almost like I talking to you and we have a conversation, but you get in the vibes and kind of interactive and a little light. I've done that in Dominica. I've done that in St. Lucia. I've been invited to talk to schools, to talk to things in St. Lucia. So I've also done a lot of training for police and prison officers on juvenile justice when I was working in St. Lucia with OACS. And before that, I had done it under consultancy for St. Lucia. So in all the OECS countries, I have worked with police in all the OECS countries and prison. So I have an idea of what's happening there. And that's another reason I'm very passionate about this thing, because when you do that thing from 2004, I'm magistrate. And before 2017, I was the one mainly dealing with those things. But when I went out, Miss Williams was the one, and then Steph come back, we kind of sharing. So, you are with the people. You deal with maintenance, you deal with custody, you deal with domestic violence, you deal with juvenile justice, you deal with care and protection. So you hear the stories, you feel, you hear sides. So for me, when I speak, I see it differently. What I tell people is like a mechanic. A mechanic who is trained knows his engine, and when he hears noise, he knows what the noise is, and he can tell. When I hear that, I say, what I hear, boo, boo, I hear this, that. I'm not trained. So when I see something, I don't see it with the eyes of somebody who hasn't. And I tell you, I have been to all kinds of meeting training. I did counseling, mediation, risk assessment, this, that, all these meetings. I mean, if I go to these things, forensic interviewing, it's to learn something. And because I see it with a different mindset, right? So for me, there are things that I think that we can do. And when I speak about it, people might think, oh, but it's because I know we can do it. And I know what it does. I have dealt with people. People talk to you. Sometimes after you give a talk, they come and talk to you. People talk to you. People call you. Sometimes you have to tell them, I cannot talk to you, or I can't talk to you on this, or, But that's what experience is. So besides training, you have experience.
You've been hailed as a champion of the Juvenile Justice Reform Project, and that was by the Dominica U.S. Ambassador to Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean. Yes.
She have also named Tagliatella or something.
Tagliatella.
Right.
I didn't even want to attempt it.
Yeah, because I have even gone to assist like St. Vincent. I have spoken in St. Vincent, presented in St. Vincent, in Anguilla, in Antigua, because for the Juvenile Justice Project, even before I worked in St. Lucia, because of my involvement and the things that I have done, countries would invite me and pay for me to come, or I would go on behalf of the OECS to these countries. So really, you see things. You don't see things like the ordinary person. So I and my landlord in St. Lucia used to have this difficulty, because sometimes they think that child justice and the way we talk now is almost like you situation their children and so on. But then it's not that. The thing is, some people see it that way. And usually what we are mad about, or what's that really make us feel, is when we hear the very gruesome things. I understand that. I know that. But besides that, there are lots of other things. People come to court. Some of them come by default, You come in from where? I have that already. And you come out and you see your cousin fighting, you join that.
You're joining it.
So when police arrest all of all you.
Yes.
Right? That might be the first time you even do that.
Yes.
You don't even know why. But you're in court. Does that mean that you're a bad person?
No.
Right? Let me just give you an example. When I was in, which one? St. Kitts? I think it's St. Kitts. Either St. Kitts or St. Kitts. I think it's St. Kitts. We were having this graduation, this closing ceremony for the juvenile justice training that I had. And a police officer said he wanted to speak. So I said, well, if you want to speak, I need to know what you're going to say so I'm not embarrassed or whatever it is. So he told me. So he is somebody who, he lived in another country. And when he was in the other country, he was in the system by something happened, right? But then he learned, he changed, and then he came to live in St. Kitts.
Right.
And he did so well in the police that he was given awards and all kind of things,
Mhm.
you know.
Moved up the ranks
Right.
too?
At that point, he wasn't in no big
Not
rank.
yet, but
Right.
getting awards.
Yeah, but in terms of as a recruit and so on. And so he decided that he wanted to speak in terms of how, given a chance, how the second chances, how some of the things that I had spoken to them in the training, how these things can help you. So he spoke about his experience. And there was this gazetted high up officer smiling and laughing. So I'm like, what are you laughing for? He said, I mean, what he's saying there, that's soft. I did worse than that. But the reason why my case didn't come through, it was thrown out. So his case was thrown out. And maybe from that he learned and he never walked that way again. And here he was today, this big officer. And we have a lot of examples where people, some people are, it's almost like another life, right? While they are younger, they probably follow friends, have different kind of things, or they don't have the right help, and they go a certain way. But if they are guided, if they have assistance, if they are helping one way or the other, that can make a change. Sometimes all somebody wants is a hand or somebody. And I have seen that. I know that. I believe in that. And that's why I think that we can do a lot more than we do. And some of it doesn't need no consultant to come and tell us, because we have enough paper and things that tell us what to do, and we need to do it. Sometimes you need to do it with money. Sometimes you need to do it with people who are committed. Sometimes you need to continue to do it. And that's another thing, consistency. Not do it now and stop. If you do it now and stop, sometimes people fall by the wayside.
How did you become a magistrate? How did that happen?
Okay. Miss Rhoda Sele used to ask me, and I would say no, because I know me. I used to cry a lot. I'm very sensitive. Very, I cry. I cry in movie. I cry in. I cry. Sometimes even when I go to court and I hear certain things, I cry. I say, me magistrate. I can't be no magistrate. I'll be crying. So the day I did not say no, every time she asked me, I would say no. The day I did not say no, she checked, okay, well, let me move. She said, go to the court and understudy. So I went
What
there.
were you doing at the time?
I was a state attorney.
You were a state attorney.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the day I did not say no, because she asked me, I said, I don't do that. I cry. So when I did not say no.
You might, and I think too, probably you might feel so sorry.
Right.
And
when I did, right,
the way you're supposed to.
No, because I used to go there sometimes and I find myself crying. I tell myself, like, I'm a magistrate. Although as a magistrate, I have, you've well, I don't know what other people, but I have shed a tear or two sometimes. And sometimes the atmosphere inside there is like, there's certain times things happen and everybody is just there and you let people, like for instance, I remember a young boy whose father wanted to do a DNA at a certain age.
Oh boy.
And the boy was like, came from his toe asking why and giving, he went into details and so on. There's some moments. I remember another time, that same thing with DNA again, where a mother was explaining to a gentleman, the child, that it happened to be his child, but he wasn't taken on a child before. And she was explaining to him who the child was and talking about that one, almost like when you're describing a house, the yellow house, whatever, that day, and she's describing a scene. So sometimes when people, you go and you're still in a house and I allow the person to say how they felt. So there are lots of moments in court where it's real deep, and you feel for what's happening, or it's just that you just let people let it out. So some of these areas, particularly where I remember once I had sent some children somewhere. You had to, like, some children, we gave them to somebody, and then the grandmother came back and she wanted them. And when you saw the difference between then and now, how they had fared out, and it made you like, so there are lots of moments in the court, and particularly in family matters where there's a lot of emotion. So
so you went to understudy. And then how long did you understudy for?
From the time I reached there, she decided that's it, go there,
That's it. You were not going back to
state attorney. So and then I kind of wanted to, I kind of stayed and wanted to do it. And until when, when I just got there, I was getting $129 extra.
What?
And then after 3-4 years, I said, hey,
that cannot work.
I want to go back to state attorney. I will travel, I'll go on workshop, I'll take and so on, because the same risk the magistrates are getting, I am getting it and I'm not getting the in there that they get in, so send me back. So I made my case. Usually, when you say I know I have a case, I don't mind. I don't need any followers. I make my case. I made my case. I made my case. I would give you the long story of my case, but I made my case. And because I made my case, that is why other people are getting it. I can tell you because I made my case. So that's how the genesis of how other people in Attorney General chambers and so on started getting in there because I made my case.
You made your case.
And when I got it, other things happened.
So you remained.
Yes, I remained, and then I was appointed and so on. But after 4 years, I said, no. 129, I can beg for that. I'm giving people that. No. That level of risk and that level of work, I have to be treated as a proper,
And agreed, for sure. What is one of the hardest things about being a magistrate? So you keep that in mind, but also we want to understand where you started in the magistracy, where you've gone, what you've gone through there, the various departments you've gone through, and where are you currently?
Departments?
Meaning,
Okay.
I know.
No. When I started,
juvenile.
No, when I started,
family.
No. When I started, I did mainly family matters. So I started doing mainly family matters. I would do one or two, like magistrates usually. In fact, everybody goes out to a district. So I was given a district. So I had Granby when I just started Granby district. Since I've come back, I have St. Joseph.
And Granby, would you deal specific with family matters or
you
all
deal
matters?
All, right. So in the district, you deal with all matters.
Okay.
Right. So in Roseau, I was mainly family, and I think I maybe did like at Christmas time or certain time, other people not there, you would go into their court and do a criminal. But I didn't do a lot of criminal as the others. It was mainly all the family matters, and but in Granby, I would do all the matters: civil, criminal, family type, everything.
Okay.
Right. And then since I've come back, now I've gotten more into civil. I wasn't doing that before.
Okay.
So civil, criminal, St. Joseph, family. So I have a whole bouillon. I have a whole mix now.
Okay. But you don't mind?
I kind of prefer only my family matters. But,
okay.
But I you adapt. There's a need because we supposed to have 8. We only have 6.
Okay.
So you just
adapt.
After a while you get accustomed to it. But the thing about people and you see the magistrate, they expect the magistrate to remember everything. Like a man met me last week. Man met me and said, "Excuse me," and they started talking about his case. I said, "Sir, who are you?" They expect you to know their name, their case, when is their case, details, everything. Sometimes I have to tell people, "Hey, Saturday, they give me a rest day." Some people meet you. Sometimes I answer. Sometimes I say, or some people want to discuss the video that you can't. I say, "No, I cannot answer you."
You cannot discuss
I can't discuss that with you.
No.
Or they want to give you something. I say, "No, I can't accept things from you." That kind of thing.
Not with any bribery intentions, but they probably just want to give you something, but you can't accept it.
There was once that was like a bribery.
Oh Lord!
Can you tell me? I buy I buy riches by my food.
You have to pay for it for you?
I said no.
No, thank you.
What you want to pay for my food for me for?
Tell us about. It's after 10, but we'll just go on just a little bit more, just to cover a few things.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to understand what it is like being a magistrate. So I know I have been to functions, and sometimes magistrates are there, and there's a police officer accompanying them. I know, or the function, or was it the chief? The chief magistrate.
Okay,
I've seen that for sure.
We had lead function.
Okay, the chief magistrate. I've seen that for sure.
Okay.
In terms of your security, what level of concern is there? Do you get threatened?
I have been.
Do you
threatened.
fear for your life?
No, I have been threatened, but sometimes when I know your name or your address or something, I will report it to the police. In fact, there's somebody who had threatened me. The matter came to court and that kind of thing. Yeah, people threaten, people tell you things. And sometimes, and the thing about it, because you see so many people, you do not know. Sometimes you don't know who is who. So they remember you because remember, it's like the teacher. Remember, this one person, but then the person, but then They remember you as the one person, but you don't remember all of them.
Mhm.
So sometimes I know certain people because they come often or because they give problem or so on. I don't know everybody. Or some of them have grown, particularly the young boys, when they get bigger and they say, "But I was in your court." I'm like, "You? What's your name?" You know, that type of thing. So you're not sort of, you have to be careful, like where you go, who you
Yeah.
allow into your space
Yes.
and that type of thing, because some people, you have some fans, but you also have some enemies.
Yes,
You also have
yes.
some people that have something for you, that type of thing, or say things about you. And nowadays it's on social media. Right? They put in your name on social media. One somebody put the other day, well, for me, she put she don't have children and she don't care.
You do your
Yeah.
job.
Well, the thing about that, sometimes when you know who it is, then you understand maybe why they put that. But then it's about them and not about you. But it's kind of tough, because even when we go to conferences and they tell us what we're supposed to do, really, you're not supposed to interfere with people. Huh? You're not supposed to interfere because based on what they tell you shouldn't do, Moji, it's almost like you're supposed to be at your home, go to work, earn back,
And go back home.
and because even they even have courses on magistrate and social media, magistrate and what you should do, and we've had those discussions, and who you should socialize with, and even if you have children, what pictures you should put out and not, and
Wow.
it's a whole, because really,
And I just asked you the
Mhm.
question earlier on, what is the hardest part of being a magistrate? And I
Yeah.
suspected some of this.
You also have to watch what you do, because they don't see you as your name, the magistrate, they see,
Mhm.
So that's why even for traffic and certain things, I if I'm driving somebody, I say, hey, don't do that, because they wouldn't see you, they see me,
Mhm.
and and you're not supposed to do that, that kind of thing, So it's
Would
but
you
it's okay.
would you do anything else other than that right now?
Oh yes, I would just live my life volunteering if I had plenty money, just go and help people and so on, and travel and
Yes.
teach and that type of thing. But I like it. I don't mind it. It's just that like anything else, you think certain things can happen to make it better and to make things work better, and to address certain issues. So it's somebody tell me, I want you're ready. Don't go and say so. I have to watch what words I use.
Yes.
I'm saying that for the person that want me this morning. You're ready. Only
Yes.
direct. Don't say this. Don't say that. So make things yeah. What I'd like to say is that there are lots of things that can be done to make the system work better.
And you leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I hope that that it's done sooner than later. It's too slow.
It's too slow.
Yeah,
It's too slow.
It's too slow, and in the meantime, things we can do certain things. We can do a lot of things.
I suspect because you're a sitting magistrate
Yes,
right now,
yeah.
there's not much that you can say.
Yeah, because people might
Yes.
misconstrue.
Yes, and I'm not going to push you there either.
Yeah. 2 hours or 1 hour not enough for that. That is
Yes,
one-on-one, and let's talk.
separate.
That
That's a
kind of
whole
thing.
separate thing.
Yeah.
But from being a magistrate, are there any prospects for probably judge?
Oh no, that one too. Well, if you're a magistrate, not supposed to do is judge that.
You're fine.
Yeah.
For now.
If judge, I'll probably just do family court judge.
Family court
just
judge.
for a little while, just to see,
Yes.
and to put some of the things I have learned in
Yes.
the thing. It would have to be family.
Yes.
Because I have a wealth of knowledge in a lot of the things, and having been in that, and certain things I think, so I think that's the only one that I would say yes to, and for but otherwise, no.
All right. So anything else of importance that we may have missed out that we definitely would like to just at least cover before we wrap up?
Okay, I don't know. My for me, 2 hours not enough for me, but
I know that. I know that because we already passed 2 hours.
I just looking, man. No, man. What I want to say is that I love my writing. I love drama, and I hope that the theater arts can improve in Dominica, and that we can also get back to the days where we have more groups where we work with young people because they want to do it. They are. If you put out something, you get people to come. It's just that we don't have enough people volunteering because everything you wouldn't get money, but the satisfaction you get and when you see them grow and when you see things, it's I mean, that's more than money.
That's more
Right?
than money.
That's more than money.
All right.
So and also I think also we can do a little more to educate our people on certain areas that they should know, and particularly with parenting. I think that we can do much more in that area to give them guidance. We can also do much more with communities so that we can address some of the other areas because it's not all about crime and when they reach by police. That's too far. We need to do a lot of prevention activities, and prevention activities stem from all your youth groups and training and dance and all the things that where young people interact with each other, they have fun, they learn, because that is where you learn to get on with other people, learn to work as team, where you have somebody that you can look up to that who is like a mentor and who guides you through certain things. That is where probably you get some other interests that besides your profession you realize, oh, I like that, and you can work in that area, so you have something else when you're under stress, that there's something else, because book alone will not do it. You always need to have some other pastime or something, so I think we need to do a little more for young people, and not just talk and just I don't know. I think we need to do more of the walking than talking. And the question I would ask about some people is, what have you done for somebody lately?
Yes.
Some people like to criticize, but what have you done? What have you done for somebody lately? Right? And it could even be your neighbor. There are lots of people who are hurting, lots of people who want assistance or listen ear or something, it's life. Adulting can be tough, as they say.
You're clearly very passionate about all that you do, and people like you most times don't look for recognition. But I would like to ask, as we're wrapping up, what level of recognition have you received for the type of work that you've done?
Okay, I got an award in St. Martin for my work in HIV in St. Martin. I got some awards, one through the Rosa City Council for work with youth. I got 2 awards through National Youth Council for work with youth. For my theater, I got an award through National Cultural Council for working theater. What other award I get now? The other awards is just like certain things happen and you're like, wow.
Well, I think it's
that's
about
a blessing.
time you get some national awards.
Oh, well, somebody wrote already for a national award for me. I don't know what happened to it. They wrote again and then something happened to it. I don't know where it disappeared to.
So you've not received an award at that level?
No.
Okay.
Sometime.
It's about time. So, folks, we're going to write again for Gloria to get some national recognition. Gloria, we have to wrap up. I'm going to give you the opportunity to share some final comments with us. And, just to let you know how appreciative I am of you, agreeing to do this with us in the Spotlight.
Okay. Thanks much for bringing me in. I've said there are lots more to be said, but that's life. And I hope that I can continue to inspire some people. I hope I can continue to help some people. And I hope that I can continue to have a life in Dominica where I don't live in fear, and that, enjoy life and the finer things of life and the natural things. And one of the things I want to encourage people in Dominica to do is to support local. Boy, I find people not supporting the local, the farmers, the people in the market, fruits and vegetables and things. I find people need to eat more of those things. It is better for you people. And sometimes, I wish I could just buy all those things and just maybe give it. Yeah, because I see people have so many things at a certain time and not selling. And how hard it is. Sometimes I feel for those people. Sometimes I buy things, it's a good price, and I say, okay, well, I'll give you somebody. Because you just feel like you just want to help the person.
Yes.
I think people need too many people eating.
I have found myself doing that a couple of times.
Yeah.
I have, but I just want to give you a sale.
Yeah, so I give the sale and then I give it to somebody or something. Even in terms of I say I like flea markets. When I see certain bags, certain things in St. Lucia, I would say, oh, okay, that looking like that person, that person. I buy it for them. Because it's like, what? How can you let that go? That type of thing. So I like to shop too.
Yes.
I like shopping.
Good
So,
stuff.
but I think people need to, and one of my pet things is that people and children in motor vehicles, Lord have mercy, please, please, please. I see some parents nowadays thinking that making the child operate the vehicle is loving. This is dangerous. Up to today on somebody's status, I saw that. Do not get the children involved in operating steering wheel at those tender ages. Because one day when you forget or you're not there and they got operate, it cause a problem. Also, when you have them fathers, don't put them at the front or don't have them in the head outside. Sometimes I have to call people and say, hey, and don't leave them in the car and go somewhere. It's just there you go in.
Anything
I
can
have a
happen in
thing
split
about
second.
this, how people treat your children in motor vehicles.
Yes.
And one more I will say for Kinfield East, there's a no entry sign when you come out from Old Mill. Don't go straight up and try and save gas because you might be killed. You can end up killing somebody. 7 times I've had near thing. The last time a phone call saved Lady Stan Eye. A phone call. So then when we got the phone call, I got distracted. The phone rang and then I slowed down. Otherwise, we had just gone into a bus like a cross.
Wow.
That's because people just go straight up the road and some of them go speed just for them not to go around the bank and come back out. And the thing about the people who live in Kenfield is are the ones that are most at risk. Because when you come down there, you don't expect nobody to be coming up that way. Or when you go to turn in, you don't expect sometimes something is you're not seeing. When you get to that point, somebody coming up on you, right? And even people in Kenfield do it. Before I used to follow people, when they tell me that dangerous, not to do that. I'll follow them or I'd call police and give the number and that type of thing. No, this is one of the things that's really, I don't understand why people do that.
Yeah.
You need to do that because, you can't afford to go and cause an accident for a little bit of gas. Oh, gee. If you're in America and you pass the turn, the whatever, you have to go a whole long way. Do it.
You know what I would love to have with you again sometime in the future? A program where we can just talk about courts and the law and that kind of thing.
Yeah, we can, because I wrote some
I think
booklets
this is something that I would love to do.
I wrote some booklets for Women's Bureau some years ago on 5 areas, domestic violence, maintenance, and things. So, yeah,
people like
that
those kinds
happen.
of programs as well. So that
That
is
could
something
happen,
I think we can definitely
to
have.
explain certain things and that kind of thing without compromising.
I would love to do that with you, Magistrate Gloria Septra Augustus. Let me thank you so much again for being here tonight. It was an absolute pleasure. I know we could go on until 11 o'clock tonight and, just sitting here having our conversation, but we have to wrap up. So thank you so much. Again, we really would like to thank Pamplemousse Goodies and Services for our treats, our goodie box. I don't know if you eat everything in there, Gloria.
I do, but I know some people will be begging me for some things there
well,
because you don't say what I think that already. No, but I'll share.
Yes.
Oh God, I can hear some of my staff members say, "Hey, Mr. Augustus, I'm so ready quiche, ready this, ready that."
So well packaged as well.
Yes.
And we're gonna do this every Monday going forward on the program. So I really would like to thank him. And our dinner should be waiting outside. So thank you again to the Great Old House for providing dinner to us. I know.
Oh, I'm a fan of Great Old House.
Oh,
I'm a regular.
There you go. So I know people might be saying, "But I she like her food." Yes, I don't mind. And when people offer it, we'll take it.
That's one of my problems. So I like food.
Yes,
and I like fruits.
Okay, there we go. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into the program. Don't forget, we begin our anniversary celebrations from the 1st of May to the end of May, and we have some good stuff coming along. And you will have an opportunity, by the way, to win one of those goodie boxes from Pamplemousse Goodies and Services. That's it for us tonight. Gloria, just say good night.
Good night, everybody. And I took my notes so that when you ask the questions, I can call and give an answer. I noticed certain things. I know questions, how they ask them. So I don't take some notes there already, so I can call and answer a question.
Let me
I
tell you
ahead of the
about
time.
it.
I took some notes. I can see some questions being asked. What is?
You're smart. You're smart.
Yes,
That's a
I
wrap.
take my notes.
That's a wrap, guys, on the In the Spotlight radio show for tonight. Monday the 1st is a public holiday. We won't be having an actual in-studio program, but I should have something to mark the start of the anniversary celebrations. So do look out for that. So until the 8th, we should have a guest confirmed for that. And we're looking forward to me. Let's just say we're looking forward to me. So good night, everyone. Thank you again for tuning in, and we'll do this again another time. Good night.
Good night.
Okay.
Thank you for listening to In the Spotlight. We would love to hear from you. If you have suggestions of guests or topics and issues you would like featured on In the Spotlight, let us know. We would also welcome your feedback. Please send us an email at inthespotlight.da@gmail.com or contact us at 275-7565. In the Spotlight is aired on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. with your host, Ferdina Frampton. Until next time, good night and God bless.